questions before we get going? Okay, good. Because what we don't want to dig into is the how and the why, but all the questions that you guys were asking me are very good questions to ask the vendors, and to make sure that they're the ones you want to go with or not, so that you understand their processes and where there might be gaps and where there may be where they may be a good solution for you or not. So we've covered Continuum and GMS, but let me go back. I want to go back to one thing about Continuum in their pricing. I just clicked on it. Where did it go? It's over here. Hold on. Sorry, trying to manipulate, keeping the video up for you guys. Here, there it is. So projects. So this is another inexpensive tech resource that are available to you through Continuum. This is still in that pricing document we were in before, but if you keep going all the way to, what page is this? It doesn't tell me what page it is. But if you go further into page 10, almost all the way to the end, you get to the really good stuff. And so what I told you about earlier for a desktop project, it's not $3, it's $5. So I underestimated by $2. Still, it's going to be a really, really cheap, inexpensive technology solution for you to use. I know, but you can see here, so there's lots of server projects you can do with Continuum, and these prices are pretty good prices. I don't think we need to do any BlackBerry enterprise migrations any days, but you can kind of see this price list. There's and I don't, so that physical to virtual machine conversions, you can do that. All sorts of these things, but these are inexpensive prices to what you would pay a technician. And Tan, Debbie, who you took over your business, she bought the business, he bought Debbie's business. She's been really strong about using projects from Continuum, and she's actually spoken at their conference and spoken about using projects from Continuum to get as a resource for you for getting projects done.
Yes, and she told me, and she mentioned me that you have to be really specific about what you want, like prescriptive, but you can get your job done for a really, really good price. And I haven't done that myself, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what. So we're trying to. So at all times, the best strategy for you is to find the lowest cost, most effective resource to get things done, and use that first, rather than. But your highest cost is going to be your local technician, typically, unless you're in a lower cost of living area, and I don't know if anybody is. So anyway, so that's what I wanted to cover there. So let's go back to the presentation. So NOC, help desk, and remote support. So all this remote support, whether it's through the NOC or at the help desk or from a full-time remote technician, those are going to be your cheapest resources to work with. And they're most trained, typically the most trained. So you've got Continuum, GMS. You can also outsource to your local other CMIT technicians in your area. So if you've got trained technicians in your area, you can outsource to them. Now, there's a couple of other resources that are available to you. So like Leslie Chirazi, she's used this Falcon, and some of the Northeast area franchises have used Falcon services to recruit for them and get them a technician. Now, so if you've ever done recruiting before, you're going to recognize that it's very expensive sometimes to do that. They want usually a percentage of the annual salary to get for their recruiting fees. And so it can be really expensive. You can either pay that out at a one-time fee, or you can pay it out through an increased hourly rate usually, but you'll want to understand how they charge for their services. bar staffing, I don't know if I know of any CMITs who have used them, but that's specifically, they do technology recruiting for the MSP industry, so they know our industry really well. They're out of the Dallas area. And also out of the Dallas area is CRI. We've worked with them for years. They do assessments for technicians and franchisees, and they also do recruiting. So they will do, I think they charge you a $500 fee or something like that for every qualified candidate they send to you. So you may not hire that candidate, but they will send you a qualified candidate to and as a way to give you some good quality candidates that you can interview from. So there's a little bit different model for the recruiting side. But these are all options that are available to you. So those were kind of remote, so some remote solutions that we have. So if we talk about some of our field service, so field service are the people that are going to be going out into desk, some people call it desk side service. So they're going to talk to and be out in the field. They'll go to client sites. So they'll either go to the, whether it's the server or a desktop or the network piece that they have to go visit, but it's a physical on-site activity. So there's some of our vendors. Cinex is one of our distributors, so you can buy hardware from them. But many of the other distributors also have access to field service technicians that you can use. So Cinex has field service that you can use their technicians as part of your relationship with them. I think Ingram Micro has that too. There's also, you can still use your local CMIT solutions that other franchisees, you can rent out and use their techs to do your on-site service for you. They're great to do on-site tests, so you can take on work anywhere in the U.S. And if you need people feet on the ground, you can use these resources to help you get that. So whether it's Cinex or CMIT or the work market is a kind of I guess kind of like a Lyft or an Uber for IT services, where you can kind of hire out an individual guy or gal to do some of the specific work, a task for you, and get them to hire them either once, or you kind of go to them on a regular basis if you need to. Field Nation's another one of those kind of tech resources that you can hire techs for an individual job. So questions, thoughts?
So Cinex does not do that?
Cinex does have field service technicians.
Okay. So all these are options for project
on-site.
Project on-site technicians. Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
Are any of them industry specific? Like they have certain specialties that's why you would do them versus CMIT? They have special.
I don't think so. They may. So like Cinex probably has a much more, even for on-site, so they probably have some very specific on-site skills. I think it just, since they're on-site, if you're looking for on-site support, you're going to be limited to the quality of the people that are in that area. So, but you also, so Cinex may not be necessarily, you may need to use them for a project somewhere else, or a remote project that you can do. If there's a very specific project, specific skill set that needs to be done remote, that can be done remotely, then you can use those resources for that also. They're not just limited to on-site.
Okay.
Make sense?
Thank you.
Uh-huh. So recruiting. So when you're ready to hire your own technician or your own field service person or your own service delivery person, you can go through a variety of these staffing agencies to help you with that. So whether it's the Falcon that, but you might pay a premium for some of these. It just depends what that looks like and what level of support or service they're going to give you in the process of hiring. So you can hire your continuum technician, like we talked about, that $27.50 a month for a level 2. That you will do that. They'll do the initial vetting, but you have to do some hiring. You want to do your own hiring and checking in with them too. So each of these organizations will help you hire a local person in your area.
If you find a local person on your own, are there options for helping vet through that person? Say you come across a guy who's working for Joe's IT company. He seems like a great guy. And is there one of these services that can do that, or is there another one that helps you get through that process other than doing the testing or something like that?
Yes. So let's see. I'm going to log back in here. On Connect. So I'm going to go to vendors. And then the human resource vendors. And I'm going to roll through. So CRI. So CRI was on there on the list. They do the, they will help you. They'll do recruiting for you too. But they also do some assessment testing, pre-employment assessments. So the assessment that they do is a competency assessment. So it tests knowledge of business knowledge, vocabulary, math, and technical ability, kind of that technical mathematics side, kind of, and attention to detail. So they'll have you do some things about numbers and, blah, 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 test. I've taken it twice now. Apparently I passed it both times. And it also has this feature in there that, and I don't know how it does it, it's probably science somehow, but it tests for kind of ethics, not really ethics, or kind of where deceptiveness in the process of how are they trying to deceive you in the testing process. So that's kind of a really good thorough test that I like for competence and abilities. And that's a $185 test. So CRI will do that for you. I'm going to pull up their website here. So it's not the greatest website, but they also have the recruiting service here that talks about flat fee recruiting. So they'll send you I think it's $500. I don't remember for sure, but they will do these tests and qualification pre kind of tests for you before so they do the kind of pre-screening, and they'll send you what they think is a qualified candidate. So the nice thing with CRI is they have a lot of database information from franchisees and lead technicians and general technicians that they have from all of our CMITs, and they got some ideal candidates that we've had. So they can compare that, and they will make a recommendation whether they think they should you should hire them or not based on that assessment. And it doesn't mean that if it comes back not really great, it doesn't mean you can't hire them. It means you know a little bit more about them and are able to manage them better in the future. It's kind of like an accelerated learning process, so that you learn what are the issues and things that you want to pay attention to that might be issues down the road that you should kind of be prepared to address or deal with. And so it kind of gives you like a 6-month learning period, advanced learning period about this relationship with a technician. So that's one of the testing and resources that's available to you. The other thing is the DISC, and that's a $27 thing, just to offset our cost of doing the report for the report and CMIT, and you can do that through our help desk and request that. And so what we're looking for in the DISC profile, you haven't probably gone through the DISC training yet, right? Okay.
I believe they go through that with Jim next week, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
So this will help. So the DISC test is a basic, it's a behavior test. So how do you naturally behave in your natural environment? So in whether that's your work environment. So if some people tend to be more directive and more, just dictatorial in some respect, more direct, more straightforward. There's some people who tend to be more animated, more interpersonally related to people. And there's other people who are like the slow and steady, constant. They stabilize a relationship. They kind of keep things let's kind of keep things together, and let's make sure we're all a happy family. And then they've got the other people who are very critical analysis, where they're going to really want to understand every little detail and understand all that data. So that's naturally not necessarily their personality, but that's the behavior that they kind of approach with which they approach decision making and how they relate to other people. And so we're looking for somebody with that critical ability, that they want to critically understand the whole scenario, and then also have some stabilizing relationships. And so that will be a CS kind of thing in the DISC profile that we can talk about later. But that's what we're looking for, and when we get a test like that, to be able to understand that they really do have a critical thinking abilities, and they also have some relationship abilities. That's what we're looking for in a technician typically. So those two tests, assessments, in addition to doing a technical assessment, which you can use other franchisees for, or there's also, I think on the vault up here, there's a way to kind of do some basic testing with them to ask some basic technical questions. That was a long answer, I'm sorry.
So Theresa, so are you saying that we can ask our fellow franchisees or maybe home office to attend interviews, I guess, with candidates to assess their?
Typically your nearby franchisees or other technical people are the best way to kind of do some pre-technical. Hopefully, we've got some interview questions that are also on the vault here, or on the Connect here, under the other resources. Let me pull it up here. Resource library, human resources. There's some recruiting, some questionnaires and phone interview scripts, telephone scripts, things like that you can use to help you in the recruiting process as you're interviewing.
I was going to look, but do you know if there are job descriptions out there?
Well, yes, there used to be job descriptions, and I don't see them if they, probably over here. Let me see, new hire documents. I don't see where, I've got to find them on the, I don't see them over here. So there used to be job descriptions, but I don't see them at the moment.
Okay, because there's so the labels that are thrown out, and then I saw it somewhere else, are, a Tech 1, 2, 3, a service delivery specialist, and a service delivery manager. So I'm trying to figure out what those roles are in this world to understand, where do you need to be? Could you hire someone as a delivery manager, but yet they were still qualified to be a Tech 3 and they could kind of fill both those roles, So that's what I'm trying to get a better picture of.
So ideally what we're looking for our first hire is a service delivery specialist, somebody who can, so that you could just really throw a whole project over the fence to them and let them take it over. So Their job is to know all these different resources that are available and out there for you to actually do the work. But we want them to oversee the work and be able to find the people to do the actual work. They may need to do some of the work, and in fact, if they just need, sometimes if we need hands on the they can do the actual hands-on locally if they need to, but mostly we can find a lot of remote work for them to do. But that service delivery specialist is a bridge between a technician and the service delivery. So you don't need a service delivery manager right now. We want to look for a service delivery specialist that can do has that finer social skills and relationship skills to build relationships with your clients, but also to be able to bridge the gap to the technicians, whether they're remote, the NOC technicians, or they're a remote technician or whatever. So that's where we really would like to focus, is in that service delivery specialist realm.
Okay,
So,
yeah. I mean, I'll dig around, but yeah, if somehow we could get those job descriptions so we could get an idea of the kind of person we're looking for. Yeah, I'd much rather find that person locally here as maybe even a part of my, sphere of influence type of thing,
Right.
Somebody I've known for a while or I worked with in the past. It's like, yeah, that person would be great for that.
Yes.
Okay.
So Chris, could you take a note to get with SETI on, or I don't know who that is actually that needed to move over those job descriptions, but to connect, but I think we need to get them from if they're, because I don't see them over here. Thank you.
Done and done, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let's go back. So we were here. So these are the different staffing agencies to help you get recruiting and get a recruiting technician or somebody that you can, if you need to hire somebody off the street that you don't know, if you don't have. Tan, I love your daughter. That's fun. Anyway, so if you need introductions here, you just let us know. We'll get you connected. So what are your plans for technical services? Have you already thought through this, and any thoughts or ideas, or what are you thinking right now?
And the reason I'm actively engaged with a guy I've known for 15 years who was in the IT business in corporate America, was with a company but got downsized through this COVID thing, and he's looking for an opportunity. He's been in management. He's been on the IT staff side. So getting those job descriptions to understand what it is we're looking for. So when I have a conversation with him for that service delivery specialist, is he qualified for that? I also found out on CMIT Connect, you can send an email to support and they will give you salary ranges for your local area that I found. So my plan is to get this information and have a conversation with this gentleman next week, if nothing more than just to hire him on an as needed basis, right? And, hey, can you help me out? I sold my first client and I needed a little bit of time. Can I hire you for half a day, right? If that's the minimum. But knowing him and his integrity and stuff like that, I think he could come on board as that person easily. I would have no issues with him ethically or anything, just whether compatibility, whether we'd be able to, person to person. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Good.
I love the idea of the continuum second tech. That is fabulous. That's $35,000 a year for somebody that's dedicated to you when you get to that point. That can do all that stuff, especially if you've got a one on-site person. Man, that just seems like a winner right there. Because Jerome was asking about the CMIT thing. If you're in a market where you've got other people around you, right? You're in that marketplace and you're a third or second franchisee for that area, you can borrow those technicians. When I'm in Kansas City, the closest technicians are 3.5 hours to 4 hours away, St. Louis or northern or somewhere in central Iowa. So I don't have that luxury of just calling somebody up and them driving across town, 20, 30-minute drive. So So I've got to do something a little more from scratch from the technician standpoint. So.
Yeah, good. What about the rest of you guys?
We're staffed.
Your staff's good. You got easy. So your answer is done.
Yeah, but it's interesting the way you presented everything today, because we have something coming up that may require us to go get somebody. So now I see what the options are. I mean, Dave probably knows all that. He'll be surprised that I'll be able to I'll be able to have some level of knowledge that he'll like, where'd you get that from? And I was talking to Theresa and Stuart. I mean, that's what I've been doing all week. So
Yeah, so it's been a while since David's been through training, right? So he, sometimes we forget these things if we haven't used them, or they weren't great at one point, and so we avoided them. But now it's like we've got some good experience with these, and they're very legitimate options. Because I don't think we had the full-time dedicated continuum tech available to us probably when he went through training.
Yeah, well, he picked him up, I think, back in April.
Okay, good.
April, so it's recent that we picked up the L2 support person. So yeah, I mean, so it's pretty recent with that part.
And you're having good experience with him, huh?
With Dave?
No, with the tech.
Like I said, he's been there, and I've only had one thing that I dealt with. I don't want to use that as any kind of measuring line. I'll have more time after next week, but so far as I asked him for statuses and things, I see what he's working on. I can nudge the guys to give him more assignments. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Good.
I'm sure he's busy.
Good.
I'm gonna do help desk continuum, and then knock, but I guess, but that's gonna have to wait probably once I start getting new customers, right? I guess my question there is, are they quick when it comes to onboarding? So as soon as I sign a customer, how long would it take to get, the contracts in place, get everything set up, to where, I can start using them once I have a client on board?
So sometimes when you're onboarding a client, this is kind of service delivery piece, is that you'll want to gather all this documentation and information for them, and then give this a little bit of time in there to where you actually start, and you want to give the information to the help desk, let them get it loaded in their system, and then you want to turn on services at a certain time if you can schedule that. Sometimes we have the luxury of picking when we can actually start services. Other times, if the client's in an emergency, it's hard. We don't really have that luxury, so it just depends. So you've already set up your relationship with Continuum. You already have your documentation and contract with them. And so then it would just be a matter of understanding what the documentation is to get onboarding as a help desk client. So you should have already had some onboarding calls with your onboarding specialist with Continuum, right? Has everybody talked to Continuum?
Not me.
Okay.
I have.
Not
Okay,
me.
good. So when it comes around to actually starting the first client, they're going to help you with those first couple of clients. So once you sign an agreement, that would be my first call, was to your onboarding specialist at Continuum, and say, okay, I'm ready to get started. Let's do it. Tell me what we need to do.
Okay. Yeah, and aside from getting with outsourcing that, our neighboring franchisees, we have several here in Dallas. They're so close by. I mean, it shouldn't be any issue with me. And then Bill, I actually sent a ticket in to get the pay rate for a level 2 engineer. And SETI was able to send that to, or actually somebody was able to provide a report. It's a comprehensive report, and I was really impressed with it. So
Yeah, I asked for a couple of them here for the Kansas City area to see if they had it, so I'm anxious to see it.
So you just send a ticket to support at CMIT Solutions for the salary data?
Yeah, so if you see this right here, this pay scale report here, in the vendor section, it just, they'll run a report and say whether you want the level text of each of those different things, and she'll pull a report and send it over to you.
That'll be helpful, yeah. You know my situation, right? Right now, I share or loan a on-site tech from my neighbor James Adams, but I think going forward I have to find my own tech. And the issue is when you don't have a lot of work, you cannot probably afford to have a full-time tech. So probably for me it would be something going forward as needed, probably on 1099 or something. So that's the challenge.
Yes.
the market should. I don't know. I've seen a lot of techs in LinkedIn looking for work right now. So, I mean, you should be able to pick and choose, I guess. Now it's just a matter of assessing their knowledge, their competencies.
Right, but I think his point was that if you don't have a lot of business right now, how are you going to support paying that salary?
That's true.
And,
yep.
And so the nice thing is we have franchisees across the U.S. You can bill out your technician to other franchisees anywhere across the U.S. So there's people that there are people that need technicians. They're in the same position as you, where they might need an extra technician, but they're not. It's not really enough to say, let's go get another full-time employee. So you can loan out through a pay, get paid for your technician's time, and they can make that available to people in your region, typically, or across the U.S. So that helps to augment some of the expenses.
Has anyone ever used, I'm trying to think of the right term, I'm at a loss right now, where you just put it out there, hey, got this project, looking for this type of person. And so it's more like you're looking for bids. It's not a contractor. It's, shoot, I'm at a loss for what that word is.
Is it a website?
I know there's some websites where you can put the project out there, and then, and then you'll have these individuals that are interested, and they'll just bid, and you just pick which one would be able to do the work. I don't know if anyone's done that before.
Yeah, so those like the Work Market and Field Nation, sometimes those are work like that in some respects, where they put out the job out there and they can bid on it. Or I don't remember which one's which. I haven't used either one of them myself, but they are available to you and as an option. All right. So I just pulled up a couple of those other recommended ones. Here's for recruiting. Here's Matrix Matrix Resources. That's one of them. This is Work Market, so you can how it works, and you can kind of follow through looking through some of those things, and tech services and things like that. So you've got, those are a couple of the websites that we were talking about.
Oh, Work Market does recruiting also? Wow. I guess it looks like all three of them do the same thing.
Right. So so technical services, so there's solutions so that you can build your, I don't know exactly how they do it, but I think they mark, so you can hire somebody through them. So there's just, so there's just ways that you can work with them in a different way.
Mm-hmm. That's not the word, it's freelancing.
Yeah. So you pay per assignment, so you can try, it's like, so it's kind of, you put out the thing out there, and they can actually bid on where the technicians, or sometimes you can ask people to bid on it, things like that.
Theresa, would you recommend if there's a job putting it on Nation Tech group? That's not a good idea.
On the National Tech's email,
Yeah.
you can, yeah.
Have you seen people doing that?
So they will do that if so. Hey, you say, hey, I've got this project coming up. Anybody? And here's what the thing is. I'm willing to pay. Can you help me?
Thank you.
That you could do that in Slack. Also, there's some people put out that out there in Slack. But I know the National Tech's email is one thing, but you can put it out there and move it to Connect if you want, and ask those technical questions there. Occasionally sometimes the coaches know who has extra resources because they've kind of told us, and so we can point you in the direction of some of those things too, some resources. So, all right. I think we may be at a good stopping point.
Hey, Jerome, were you thinking about an RFP before?
Sorry, say that again?
Were you thinking about an RFP when you were talking about sending out requests from work and
Yeah,
you
but
come back with pricing?
That's super formal, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if for some smaller stuff, maybe just a freelancing type of thing. Hey, I got this small project. Here's my budget. Anybody willing to take this on? Things of that sort.
I just opened up a ticketed help desk. It's cheap.
Yeah, that's true.
They'll do the project. They'll do the whole project.
$5, right?
Yeah, give them all the information. If I didn't learn anything, I learned $5 goes a long way.
Okay, so I think we are at a really good stopping point for today. We have a couple more hours in the morning tomorrow to kind of go over the rest of the year. We just really covered one area of outsourcing, but it was the biggest one, and it's the biggest challenge. So the other areas are the marketing, accounting, and HR and payroll. I think that's it. Okay, any questions?
So I got a question. With all these options, has anybody said there's too many options? It's a buffet, but if you got the right ingredients, just kind of give me what really works based on the history of the company, 15, 20 years, and the feedback from all the different franchisees, because it's great that you got all these out there, but then when you start to do it, you're like, so how do I, which one do I do? And I hope that's the right one.
Uh-huh. So what is your need right now for resources?
Unfortunately, I don't have one. I'm just
I know.
I'm trying to force myself into the mode where I'm going to need some. You know what I mean? I know Dave's going to decide that, but I'm just saying, generally, you don't get this many variable options, and the more options, at least for me, it seemed a little bit challenging, and I'm hoping that in the situation I would make the right decision. But it seems like if I don't, I always have to make sure I call my CMIT coach, and I guess that's the direction, is no matter what you want to do, if you stay close to your coach, you'll make the right decision for your business.
Right.
So if that's the case, then
yeah, so for even after, the 2-year time frame or so, you can still schedule a time with a coach, call us, kind of, check in with us, kind of, hey, I got a quick question, can you help me with this? And we're still available for all that.
And I'll play Rob in the box here for a second as far as the paradox of choice is concerned. That's kind of what the first 90 days is about. It's kind of getting those bearings and kind of dealing with, all right, I looked at this plan. I looked at my plan. I'm seeing that this may or may not be the best option for me. And then those are a lot of conversations you can have with coaches, other franchisors. I'm sure Dave is your head there, right, Dan?
Yep.
I'm sure there's going to be lots of input from there, but don't be afraid to offer a fresh perspective. Hey, I'm right in this right now. We're having great conversations in the room. I think might be better served going this way with it. What do you think? And going through all those wonderful proposals and counter arguments and debates that we all have with those decisions. But you really use that 90 days to kind of start gauging that plan out. And again, it could completely differ from what Dave has in store for you. Don't be afraid to stick that foot in the door and say, hey, let's look at it under this lens and see if we can go this way with it. I think we'd be better served in the long run. Hell, we might even save some money. Instead of the $5 foot long, you get the $5 solution. Now, I might put that on a quiz. Who knows?
Yeah. No, you're right. I agree.
So we're not very prescriptive on a lot of things. Ideally, we'd love for you to, there, in the past, we've had a very limited job market, right? So it was favored the employee. So it was very, very competitive. So the employee could easily just go find another job and just be hired right away. Now with the whole COVID thing, things have changed a little bit. There's maybe more people on the market. But we still have to find our ways to get resources and now it's if I go put a job application out there on Indeed, just myself to do all the hiring, you're going to be swamped with resumes, swamped with and then doing all that recruiting yourself is going to be a challenge just because it's too much work. So clearly, this is your business. You kind of have some things and you've got so we're giving you that 4-lane highway. If you want to go hire directly yourself and go do the work yourself, you can do that, but it's a lot of work and a lot of time and energy, and there's the payoff of I can use a recruiting service, and that's going to be a challenge too, because it's going to be more expensive to use the recruiting service, or I can, kind of get some good, the CRI kind of thing is kind of they'll vet me a couple of good candidates, $1,000 if I get two good candidates for $1,000, or I'm remembering their prices. I'm hoping I'm remembering them right. It might be $750, but to do that's a kind of a good bridge between the very expensive solution of the recruiting firms that want 20% of an annual salary to be able to do some of that work for you. So maybe I could do a little bit more a continuum picture of, or a timeline picture of increasing price and time investment of where each of those vendors sits along the time and money investment strategy to help you figure out better where you want to start.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going, oh, it's still overwhelming.
No. But I'm looking at the two because Falcon was on the sheet a couple of times, and so was CRI. CRI has a $500 lock-in, but they guarantee you a quality candidate for $500. So do you do that? But Falcon can be a little bit expensive. They're located in Dallas. Nothing wrong with Dallas, but if you got somebody that's more local that you can deal with, sometimes that's good. But our world now is via phone or computer, which means the person is really right in front of you and they can be on the other side of the world. So the logistics from that standpoint really doesn't matter. So, but yeah, it's like you said, the cost associated with each of those options, and it's just looking at that. So yeah, no, I got it. I'm good. I took my notes, so I'm good.
Okay. All right.
How are we all feeling? I see some slight head nods. I see a look of...
Tell Rob we're all sliding into that. I don't want to call it the pit of despair, but on that graph he had,
the valley of despair.
The valley, we're sliding there, grasping difficult, as hard as we can to not slide into it. So
Bill, our goal on next Friday is to get you out of the Valley in towards acceptance and ultimately complete total change. Is that correct? Okay. That's easy. I think we can make that happen.
We're only counting on you. That's all. No big deal.
No pressure, right?
None whatsoever.
All right. We have after hours established today. Does anyone need those hours, or you guys want to go ahead and get to what we need to get to today?
I needed some help with QuickBooks, and I didn't get a chance to schedule something with the Stuart, so I don't know what would be a good time.
Let me see.
Yeah, because yesterday he was trying to help me, and then he said he needs to look into something. Then we can do it together. So
let me do this. Because he's around the corner here. Let me see what the rest of his day looks like. I'll have him reach out to you if it's possible. Make that happen, because I'll tell you lots of horror stories of QuickBooks. I've never been audited. My wife got us pretty darn close to being audited, but I'm not your QuickBooks expert in any way, shape, or form. I'll touch base with Stuart, see if we can get you that help.
sure, no, thank you.
Very good. You have homework, and that homework is just kind of absorbing. You've had two very different pieces of the pie today. Start using those documents and that information towards building the leadership journal that Theresa got you towards building your time management, because as we talked bandwidth a little earlier, you've got a lot of things to do, and right now the bandwidth, you don't know what that looks like. Stan knows what that looks like, because he's already got his work cut out for him. Start building that bandwidth, knowing what you can take on and what's going to have you, and we'll get deeper in outsource tomorrow as well. Start kind of put yourself in that place of, okay, day one, when we're out there on our own getting it done, what does that day look like? What do those resources look like? How far can I extend myself before I start getting into, thank you, Bill, the valley of despair? We don't want you in the valley of despair. You're going to end up there once in a while, but the goal is to not keep you there. The goal is to get you what you need to get out. So I will leave you with that. Theresa, what thoughts do you have for them closing out?
No, I think that's all really good. So if you need any of the resources, or if you need to kind of start reaching out to the technology vendors, if you need to kind of answer some of those questions, start pulling together what were the questions that are important to you to ask a vendor and on the technology service side piece, and understanding the costs. And again, like Rob alluded to earlier, is if you need to look and find somebody locally, we don't want you to be limited to just the folks here, and that we have, but you definitely have access to your local vendors, and those could be really good relationships for you too.
And Theresa, where we were at the pay scale salary, I saw that on Connect. Was that under HR? I figured everything related to that's on the HR probably, right?
It's under the vendor section, and then human resources kind of vendors.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, I'm going to go back to those things. And Chris, you said you uploaded the slides from Stuart stuff yet, or are you still
Stuart stuff is there now.
Okay.
You had a document that we'd asked for. That's in there. Your video's in there.
Oh, cool.
Your billing stuff is in there. And the Excel sheets as far as pricing and calculator is concerned. So you've got all that. You've got that to live with this afternoon. Come back in tomorrow and say hi to Rob while you're at it too. We're wrapping. You want words of wisdom?
No words of wisdom, but this is one of my check-in points. You guys can give me like 2 minutes. Just let me know how you're feeling today. Now that you got past Stuart.
Like he's the ball. Like he's the game boss.
It's like he's sitting outside. That's why I said it. Just kind of a quick kind of feel. I know I talked to you guys after technical training. You said it was really nice to get into the product and everything else. How'd you feel about the last couple of days and knowledge and experience and everything else as far as pricing calculator and stack handouts? Helpful, not helpful, confused, digesting?
Digesting. Yeah, digesting.
So if I asked you today to go find a product for backup, do you feel like you could do it?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a success, right? I mean, in the massive things of where it's at, do you think you could figure out the vendor or a vendor?
Yeah, for backup and recovery,
Yeah.
got to.
At least know where to go to find it anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough time on Connect to find, I think we could find it.
Feel comfortable with what a stack might be on a basic or advanced option to produce to a customer?
Not yet.
Okay. And with the calculator, the two basic ones that we gave you, and the standard stack on the right-hand side, did they go, or left-hand side, they go through that?
No. Then we saw a brief bit of it, but there still needs to be some time spent with it to understand it. To me, it was a bit confusing, so.
Okay. So if you get a chance tonight, and I'll check with you tomorrow, if you look on the left-hand side, it will show you a basic stack and what is the core of that product and then the additional add-ons with that. And it should give you a basic idea of that's what a standard stack would be at that level. And then the next tab will show you the additional one. We also have an advanced one beyond that. And then there's a section on the bottom that talks about additional add-ons. Any kind of graphical representation, the way the numbers are supposed to be, guys, I love you to go and say, hey, make a bigger box for where I put in the number of people and the number of servers. I'm stomping my foot saying I'd love that feedback. Make it easier to know. Hey, guys, give us that feedback because they're all things that we see as well. But hopefully that calculator should be very easy. You want to do a 10-person, site. You put in 10 people at the top. You put in one server and outspit some pricing, both on a user model and a per device situation. So that's what we're trying to accomplish with that, is that when you get into next week and you start working on scenarios, that you've at least got something to help you get a price, and you're not trying to dig to 12 things and go to the old Connect and find it on the vault. And it should be relatively easy to do. If it's not, I would ask you to please own that with Chris to say, Chris, it's still confusing. I would have expected this, and we'll get it fixed immediately, right? That's why Chris is here. Blame it all on Chris. So get it fixed. So, hey, good. I appreciate hearing that. Anything else? Any oh my gods, Rob, you have to know this now?
Actually, I have something it's outside of our topic here. It's related to one of our pre-training activities.
Yeah.
I couldn't find in CMIT Connect on how to create your Facebook and LinkedIn business page. I searched everywhere and I couldn't find anything.
Whose computer is this up right now?
Mine.
Theresa, can you do me a favor?
Uh-huh.
Can you go to the admin page real quick? Because I'm getting ready to show these guys something that we've been working on all week for you. So, Jerome, you're going to get spending some time on marketing with me tomorrow. But go to modules real quick for me, Theresa. So behind the door, go down and click. This is the admin side, guys. Sorry. Go down and hit newest to oldest. No, on the right-hand side. Go down. It's going to say newest to oldest. Go up. These are all products going in right now for your training. Marketing used to have 2 days in the room, and they would teach you guys this, and then you go home and try to remember it. We put it all in online learning here for you. So, Jerome, there are 110 hours, I think, of content in marketing. When I looked at it today, my idea was to narrow it down to, Bill, if you just want to understand the basics of marketing, here's where it's at. If you want to drill into for your vendor SEO, then go take this other track. But the idea here is, Jerome, is to give you all of that stuff, how to do a video, how to do LinkedIn, even how to use the call center. Scroll down a little bit more for me, Theresa. There's one on what is the FAC. So when we talk about the Franchise Advisory Council, you see how much they're putting in, guys. They're redoing it all. So here it is, kind of leads, engaging in PR, telemarketing overview, what is the FAC? What does the meet the team day, meet the marketing team look like? So understand, I'm going to go through some of this with you, and then Friday afternoon, you'll get some time to really dig into marketing on a one-on-one level. So, Jerome, if you can hold that, I got it for you, sir. If they don't have it in there, I dang sure think they're going to create it. So we'll get you.
Thank you.
Feel a little bit more confident with that?
Oh,
Did it help to show you all those coming, or did it scare you? I told you this is a long training program for that reason. I just, guys, we used to launch people after 2 weeks, and I just don't feel like we did. The amount of content that was thrown at you was insane. And so please understand that's why we're taking longer to do this. Instead of letting you figure it out on your own, we're trying to make it a little more structured and focused. And I really do think it's going to be a better launch for that reason. Any other questions?
Rob, I think this is really good. I'm just trying to understand more about SEO and also Google AdWords. Is there something we can learn more?
There is. So SEO, there's a ton of stuff in there, right? I would tell you, in my opinion, I can't, we talked about outsourcing. SEO is something that I would say outsource to somebody to do. You take our courses to understand what you want, right? So when Theresa talked about how do you measure it, guys, anything you do in marketing, if it's not impacted booking dollars that you get, it's not, hey, I don't care how many people you talk to, what you do. It's, hey, are they viable, reliable leads? And have someone do your SEO. I would say don't try to learn that, Tan, but you should be meeting with your SEO people on a regular basis, telling them the keywords and stuff, and that will show up in the marketing training. So it is geared more towards you. If you want to do SEO, we have some modules on there. I would just say be careful. You're going to get better results paying for it than trying to figure it out yourself, unless you're past marketing genius. I won't say it because some people will tell me they can do better. But it's a whole series of activities, and we'll talk about that. It's not just the SEO, not just the pay-per-click. It's the full flywheel kind of concept with marketing. So, but we'll give you that. That will be there as well. You get that on Friday.
No, I'm not trying to do it myself. Just to have a basic understanding.
Bandwidth, my man. Yes, I love hearing I'm not going to do it myself. Tan, you get a golden star.
Hey, because
Thank you, sir.
If somebody comes and tells me, hey, I will do this, pay me $5,000 a month, and I say, okay, here you go, I'm the owner. I don't want to do that, right? So I need to know what's the going rate and what is it worth it? What should I expect? How do I measure it? Things like those,
Yeah.
So you guys want to know an interesting statistic? LinkedIn Navigator. It's an advanced technique. We'll talk about it and when we get into the follow-up courses. But I do want to say I talked to their senior executives. Did I tell you guys this yesterday?
No.
A really good fun fact. How much of their business do you think they rely on marketing for?
Who?
LinkedIn Navigator.
80%?
They're top SEO, they're top company. They're one of the big ones in driving leads, qualifying leads. I've heard this number over and over again, but what do you think a good number is to expect that marketing is going to drive to your business? And this is not a new business. This is has been around for a while. What do you think they expect?
40%.
Percentage-wise.
40.
How much?
40.
Okay, who's next? No, just don't worry about it. I want to get everybody's perception. What do you think, Dan?
60%?
Okay. Ikram, what do you think? Can't hear you.
You mute, brother.
I don't know. I would plead the fifth.
Okay, give me a number. It's okay.
Just price is right, 10. Just go 61.
It's okay. What do you think?
It's 10? Okay, go ahead.
No, I
Okay,
gave
well,
my number
Jerome,
already.
what do you think? Jerome, what do you think?
I'd say 60% probably. Yeah.
Okay, Bill, what do you think?
All those numbers seem awfully high. I was in the 30, 35% range.
Bill, you get the golden star. I will send you something for that. It is 30%.
Ding, ding.
So the interesting things, guys, is if you have perceptions in your head that anyone is going to drive you 60% of your business in marketing, Shake it a little bit, pop it out the side, and listen to what Bill said. Have that run through your head. That's pretty high, right? And that's for an established company. I mean, when you start your stuff and the things that we're going to do, you know, I'm not on the first page of Google day one for managed service providers. You know, stop, guys. Stop the madness, please, right? You can drive just as much activity with sales activity. I promise you, and better. And you got a 3,000 person list you can go harvest. Get out of this mentality. If we're helping you with 10 or 20% of your booking dollars, right? I don't want to hear from you. Are we clear? Except for Bill, because he's a Golden Star guy. He can complain whenever he wants. But for the rest of you, if you call me and say marketing's not giving me enough and you're at 60% is your expectation, I can't help you guys, right? Just telling you, the big boys who are established don't expect marketing to drive that amount. So if you think you're going to spend $1,000 and get 60%, it doesn't work like that. So just, I'm trying to have fun here and tease, but I'm trying to change your thoughts as well. So thank you, Bill, for hitting that one. At least I didn't have to say the number and everybody was way up here. So it's always good to get somebody to say, hey, it's too high. But hey, thank you guys for everything you're doing. I really mean that. I know this is different for everybody, to include us. We're used to having you here in the classroom. So starting and stopping and the shorter condensed time zones, you know, all that stuff is intended to try to make it so that you're not stuck behind a computer all day. I hope we're achieving something with this. I hope you're getting something out of it and still at the same time feeling like you're getting your value. That is my goal, right? If you don't feel you're getting value out of the franchise, you know, we need to know about it. If we're not getting it out of training, I need to know about it. We can always improve, but please share with me if there's ever a time where that comes into play. But thank you guys for your time. I will see you, I think, tomorrow morning as Theresa as well, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So she'll be around. I get you in the afternoon for a little bit with marketing, and we'll talk about how those two marry up. So just kind of, I'll part you with this. Marketing is what? Sales is what? Don't need the answers. We'll talk about it tomorrow afternoon. But I want you to really start to think about, how do you define marketing and how do you define sales? As blurry as this world is today, I've sought the answer and I'm still in search of it. So one of you might even give me a better answer than what I've got, because it is that blurry, right? Yeah. But I will give you some of those kind of ideas and concepts about what they are. So guys, have a wonderful day. Chris, I'm turning it back over to you. I warned him about me hijacking stuff, so he's getting a feel for me doing this.
Welcome to my day, friends. See you in a minute.
Hey, Rob.
Oh, he said see ya.
He said see you, Rob.
Yeah, I was just saying bye.
Oh, wait. That gave me lots of eBay past life nightmares about promoted listings and SEO. So thank you for helping me relive a terrible memory in my life. Any parting thoughts, words, recipes?
You guys, just so you know, we still use a lot of acronyms. I have no idea what you guys are talking about, but at least I can Google everything. Every time you say something, I'm Googling it.
Search engine optimization.
Yeah, so I got it. Sales cycle optimization. Or whatever, SEC, SEO. I got it.
The SEC is the Southeast Conference, so you remember that, especially if you're an A&M fan.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not, but I'm Nittany Lions. But anyway, yeah. So it's just learning some of these acronyms is part of the training. But to Rob's point, when you go through these trainings, and I've been to a number of different sessions over the years, you don't always absorb everything. There's just no way possible to do that. But if they leave you with the way to get the answers after the fact, that's a major point, because then I can go back later and say, okay, wait a minute. I don't remember this point, but this is where they said to go get it. So, the Connect gives you it's a pathway to everything. Connect is the ramp. Once you get on a ramp, now you got the 4 lanes, and then you can do whatever you want. And it's nice that is the vehicle that you use, because during this whole the training, that's never changed. We never had to worry about a different ramp. It's always the same one, and that makes it easier. And then once you get up there, you can decide how fast you want to go. Fast lane, slow lane, or the other two in the middle. So I appreciate that. So yeah, I like that. And so we're having fun.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you.
And Chris, I think we have a list from the last training of a list of all the acronyms.
Yeah,
we got that.
It's on the Connect page. We're going to make that a day one thing moving forward. So I built that into their training page on Connect, so they have that one.
Okay, good.
Yeah, but Theresa, it's so hard when you're in the middle of the thought process to go get that document, search it all to find it. I can just Google it and be done. So.
Well, you should be studying your acronyms every single night before bedtime.
There may be an assessment involving acronyms. Who knows?
Just kidding. I'm joking with you.
I'm not.
Yeah. If anything, that'll definitely make you fall asleep for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
All righty. Well, it's been a pleasure with you guys. I will see you in the morning. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and holler at me.
Very cool.
Theresa.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Theresa.
Thank you. Hey, Chris. What did you say about the office hour is for which section? What group?
For today, it would have been Theresa in her outsourcing opportunity. Ken, as soon as we conclude here, I will go and chase Stuart down. I think he was having computer issues earlier, so if I got to get him in a room, I'll get him in a room for you. I will work on getting those documents from SETI that you sent over as well. Thank you for doing that. No, I mean, Stanley, I'll give you as much help as I can if you want to have a discussion, but if I don't have an answer, I will get that answer for you.
No, you guys have been good about getting the follow-up answers and things like that.
Perfect.
I know one of the things that David wanted me to talk to SETI about was getting me on any distribution list that he's on. He wanted me to mention him to get that. So I didn't know whether to mention that to you or just send an email to SETI.
All right. I have two people to chase down before they leave the office, so I will get you on any deal David is on.
Okay.
And I'll have a report back.